The Eternal Ferrystone is a terrible addition to Dragon Dogma 2. It ruins the adventure, it encourages you to skip the journey, avoid unexpected encounters, and miss the moments that make this game so very special. At least that's what some players say about it. And you know what? I understand where they're coming from, but does the Eternal Ferrystone really ruin the adventure? Well, yes and no. Because while it solves some of the frustrating parts of Dragon Dogma 2, it may also undermine one of the game's greatest strengths. So today I want to talk about the Eternal Ferrystone and, more importantly, what its existence could mean for the future of the game. I'll even speculate a bit. Imagine that. Melvo speculating. Speculelvo. Before we start, I post 3 times a week all Dragon's Dogma 2 for now, so if you want more Dragon's Dogma content, subscribe to the channel. We recently reached 10k, which is absurd. Thanks everyone for sticking around. So, travel and wanderlust are among Dragon's Dogma 2's main aspects. Space between content here is also content. Walking from A to B often creates unscripted stories. Like this one time I was fighting a Cyclops in Batal, and then it collapsed across a gap and formed a bridge. So I decided to use it to get to the other side and nearly fell, and then barely made it across before the Cyclops fell into the brine because Beth was tickling its feet or something. I experienced that because I chose to walk. In Dragon's Dogma 2 you can also use items called Ferrystones to fast travel instead of walking. Ferrystones used to be finite and kinda pricey too. With the June update came the Eternal Ferrystone. It's an infinite version of a Ferrystone that lets you teleport as many times as you want with no penalty or cooldown whatsoever. So before the update, Ferrystones were there to force a decision on the player. Do I want to get there as fast as I can, or do I want to go on an adventure and use a Cyclops as a bridge? The Eternal Ferrystone removes that resource tension completely. You don't have to decide anymore. And a lot of players, especially new players, naturally use the most efficient option available, even when they technically have the choice not to. Also, new players do not know what they're giving up. Bottom line, Dragon's Dogma 2 is at its best when the journey goes wrong. The Eternal Ferrystone makes it much easier to avoid giving the journey that opportunity. And now I'll try to dismantle the absolute version of this argument. The Eternal Ferrystone doesn't really ruin exploration if you think about it. You still need to discover key locations and place your port crystals, which are finite. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you can only get 8 in total, or 10. More importantly, the Eternal Ferrystone doesn't let you teleport anywhere you want, right? Like directly to every cave or campsite or point of interest. The first journey through an area still has to be made the old-fashioned analog way, on foot or by ox cart. So if you look at it this way, the Eternal Ferrystone is actually a great addition to the game. Unlimited fast travel does make shorter play sessions less tedious, and sometimes returning along the same road for the 15th time is not automatically an adventure. In my opinion, the Eternal Ferrystone is an excellent addition to the game. For returning players. It is potentially too OP for brand new players though. I think the item is right, but the timing is kinda wrong. My problem with it is not that it exists, it's how early and easily it is obtained. It could have been an endgame reward, a New Game Plus unlock, a reward for completing a major portion of the story, or something enabled through an optional difficulty or accessibility setting. Instead, you get it as soon as you arrive in Vernworth. For most new players, that's probably what, 2-3 hours into the game? And if you know what you're doing, you can probably make it there like in 30 minutes. So I'm glad that it's in the game. It's also kind of a staple of Dark Arisen, but the way it's implemented, in my opinion, is completely wrong. You can't put it in storage and you still have to witness it every time you open your bag because it's pinned to the top of your item list. Of course you don't have to use it, yeah. Just don't use it sounds simple, but it's still a weak defense of the design, and it doesn't fix the problem. If the game gives you a much faster and easier option, most people will use it. Before, you had to think carefully before using a Ferrystone, and now you can just teleport whenever you want, so that choice, that tension, is gone. Even if you ignore it, it still makes normal Ferrystones, ox carts, and some rewards feel way less useful. And that brings us to the next parts of the video, regular Ferrystones. Regular Ferrystones are still in the game, man. They're still appearing in shops, chests and quest rewards. Pawns are still commenting when you find one in a chest, like congratulating you for finding a worse version of an item you already own forever. I mean, they're not completely useless. They can be sold or gifted to NPCs for easy affinity, and they can also be gifted to other players through hired pawns. But let's be honest, these are weak excuses to find use for them, so maybe Capcom will leave them in the game for the reasons I just mentioned. But what if regular Ferrystones will gain a completely new purpose in Dark Arisen? We're entering speculation territory. This is pure speculation, of course. My uncle doesn't work at Capcom anymore. What if regular Ferrystones are used to unlock the Lost Rites dungeons, being added with 2DA? 2DA. I like that we just suddenly decided to call Dragon's Dogma 2 Dark Arisen 2DA. I think it sounds badass. Anyway, the Lost Rites are 12 new dungeon challenges spread across the existing world. Their entrances appear likely to involve those mysterious sealed doors we have been finding around the map, although Capcom has not officially confirmed that connection. I mean, it's pretty safe to assume that these doors are the entrances. So what if you need a Ferrystone to unlock them? For example, 1 Ferrystone per attempt. Sounds pretty reasonable. If you fail a dungeon, you just go again and still have to use a Ferrystone to enter. Or even better, regular Ferrystones could be used to open the reward chests at the end of each dungeon, and the harder the dungeon is, the more Ferrystones you need. I think that'd be cool. So the Eternal Ferrystone has created an obvious redundancy, and it looks like Capcom has to come up with something to do with regular Ferrystones. Maybe they'll be used as entry currency for the Lost Rites dungeons, or maybe if Capcom pulls them from loot tables and chest rewards, they'll replace them with something meaningful and perhaps even introduce some sort of loot overhaul for the base game that we all want so very much, right? Of course, there's a third option. They just leave it as is and call it a day. Again, to be absolutely clear, Capcom has not said any of this. This theory currently exists entirely inside Speculelvo's gigantic head. And I'm telling you all this because I want to hear your takes. I want to know what you think about it. We still have a couple of months to go, and I think it'd be fun to spend this time talking about the game and speculating a bit too. It's not gonna hurt, right? So, has the Eternal Ferrystone actually changed how you play Dragon's Dogma 2? Do you think new players receive it too early? And what do you think regular Ferrystones will be used for once Dark Arisen arrives? Whatever the outcome is, I'm hoarding mine just in case, man. Because as my luck usually has it, the moment I sell them, Capcom will introduce that like 50 Ferrystones, unlock the secret 13th dungeon where you fight Ballsack as the main boss or something. Melvo out.